Only yesterday, David and I were standing in this black tunnel with a fabulous painting by Edvard Munch hanging on the wall behind us. That was the end of many years of work on that picture for us, and we're delighted that the story played out in the way that it did. Not only did the screen by Edvard Munch achieve a world record price in our May sale last year, it was also subsequently loaned to MoMA, where the picture has been on view for the past 6 months. Huge attendance, it's been a great success, and Peter Olsen, the consigner of that picture, always wanted it to go to MoMA. In fact, in the very early days, he said, "Can't you just sell the picture to MoMA?" And we said, well, it's not quite as simple as that. But what's significant, I think, about this sale is not just the quality of the works that we have, but the fact that a very large proportion of the works come from great estates. The works surrounding us here, this beautiful Modigliani behind me, and the Cézanne, and the other works in this front part of the gallery, and the alcove, are all from the collection of Alexander and Elizabeth Lewitt. It's a great New York collection put together in the 50s. A real time capsule, hasn't been seen by anybody since, and a particularly refined sensibility that runs through this collection, the like of which we rarely see these days. 40% of the material we'll be offering next Tuesday actually comes from an estate. That's very exciting for us. It's all very fresh, exciting material that hasn't been seen for a long time.
I think the natural question after, the excitement we're going to show you about all the pictures we have are, where's the market? Is the market ready to absorb these pieces? The last sale in London in February was the second highest total we had for an Impressionist and modern sale in London. At the time of our sales, also the contemporary sales did wonderfully. Private trade is going on very strong. The early indications in terms of the catalog distribution and the awareness of properties such as the Lewitt collection really indicates we're going to have a vast array of buyers. It's not just connoisseurs. We often see people who've entered the market in the last 5 years also chasing great works. People used to start in the day sales at the lower value and graduate. People are entering the market now at the highest levels. Speaking of the highest level, our top estimate in the sale is this Cézanne plate of apples. I think this picture comes to as near perfection as one could be, and with Cézanne, it's so engaging, it's so solid, the balances are so pure, yet again it's built on a lot of contradictions within the picture. He spent a great deal of time posing the fruit, slipping little coins underneath it to hold them in a certain arrangement, but there's still kind of a mesmerizing unreality about it. The plane of the plate where it's resting represents something much more horizontal than we see the uplifted table plane, which you can almost see is approaching vertical. The diagonal of the back of the table plane, which indicates a certain slope, yet the two pyramids of apples stay in sort of perfect repose there.
Great connoisseurs, the Lewitts. They were advised, in fact, in many of their choices by John Rewald, who's the great expert, the author of the Cézanne catalogue, Raisonné, for example. So it's no surprise they ended up with really tremendous masterpieces, not just by Cézanne, but also by other artists. An interesting segue from Cézanne, because among other things, this is a picture which is about Cézanne, about a reaction to Cézanne. This is 1909. This is really Modigliani finding his feet as a painter. It's the first masterpiece. It's among the most familiar of all his images. It's been reproduced in every book on Modigliani. And I think that's its very celebrity and its recognizability are a testament to how much work went into this by Modigliani. He's looking at Picasso's portrait of Gertrude Stein, for example, the Demoiselle d'Avignon, the way that the use of African masks to turn a face into a series of flat planes.
One of the kind of real pleasures we've had over the last couple seasons is to be able to represent and present groupings, particularly groupings of sculpture. Here again, we've gotten this wonderful opportunity from a single collection to have all these different examples of great sculptures by Rodin. Like so many of the forms in Rodin, the pieces originated through his conception and his work on the gates of hell, derived from Dante's Inferno, At the top of the Gates of Hell, he posed this figure which was Dante originally. The works kind of separated in many cases from the gates, took on new meanings. This, of course, is the thinker, a more generalized figure. He shows the act of thinking, concentration, really through the tensions of the musculature in the body. Of course, the great kiss. This came from another moment in Dante's Inferno, where Paolo and Francesca were consigned for being illicit lovers. The other really remarkable aspect of these works, and the really key aspect, is they were cast during Rodin's lifetime. There is a hierarchy of value in Rodin's work, and the pieces that are documented during his lifetime have the most fidelity, the most crispness of the castings, the most exquisite patinas that were applied under Rodin's supervision by very specific patinateurs who even know their names. This piece was so well documented, it was actually made for Joseph Pulitzer by Rodin, who formed a great collection. When you move around the back, you'll actually see a plaque Rodin affixed to it in 1906 to Pulitzer. So this terrific documentation of its early history makes it something so special, even though the image is so ubiquitous.
Using a flat plane and bending it, and making also use of those planes to create a painting. So this is sort of hybrid between sculpture and painting. In the mid-1950s, a series of sheet metal sculptures bent and then painted. At this particular moment in his career, Picasso meets a 17-year-old girl called Sylvette David, a stunningly beautiful blonde girl who inspires a great body of work in painting and sculpture.
That the headliners of our Impressionist and Modern sale this season are two lesser known relatively speaking artists, Sotheby and Derain, as opposed to Picasso, Matisse, Monet. And I think that's very much a reflection of the pursuit of masterpieces. These are two works that are being sold discretionarily by collectors who see a true opportunity in the marketplace. This work is the cover of our catalog. It is the culmination of a series of 6 pastry chef paintings that Sotheby executed over the course of a decade. It was very much a pursuit of his to reflect the working class in their occupations and use the format of the uniform and the consistency and kind of identification of that context to contrast with the individuality with which he portrays the subject themselves. So each of the pastry chefs is quite different from each other. This work was selected to illustrate the cover of the artist's catalog raisonné, clearly identifying it as a signal, emblematic piece in the artist's body of work. André Derain's portrait of Madame Matisse au kimono. This is the most important fauve portrait to come to market, bar none. I try not to use the word museum quality too lightly. We're tempted to in our field. This is truly a museum quality work. The synergy and synthesis of aesthetics and narrative here are relatively unparalleled. You're not only getting a perfect example and really vivid portrayal of the fauve aesthetic, but it is also a work that quite literally speaks to the development of the movement. As it was painted in Collioure in the summer of 1905, the summer that Derain and Matisse spent painting side by side, and the fruits of which would be exhibited later that fall at the seminal 1905 exhibition, where Louis Vaucel then coined the term fauve, or wild beast, in reaction to these sensational, non-naturalistic paintings that were so shocking at the time. Here you can see Derain's explorations with using non-naturalistic color in wide blocks.